Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side, PCH, country limit. I don't need a guide, follow lights, take me where I wanna visit. Are you alive? Or just breathing? Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side, PCH, country limit. I don't need a guide, follow lights, take me where I wanna visit. Are you alive? Or just breathing? Flashing red lights, driving at night, windowless ride, feeling alive. Nothing in sight, forever in flight. Follow those lines, we'll make it this time. Blurry street lights, work as a guide to memories that we're making tonight. Oh yeah, we'll make it tonight. Yeah. I'll do anything that I feel like I wanna do. I'm living life like I got nothing left to prove. No end in sight, just always staying on the move. I'll go all night if that's just what I gotta do. Life's too short to care about what you can't afford. Memories are in what you explore, so just don't be ignored. Go ask for more, go ask for more. Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side, PCH, country limit. I don't need a guide, follow lights, take me where I wanna visit. Are you alive? Or just breathing? Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side, PCH, country limit. I don't need a guide, follow lights, take me where I wanna visit. Are you alive? Or just breathing? I'm in a race that everybody's chasing fast. They wanna be that someone on the screen at last. They ain't looking inside for their needs in life. They wanna be like by everybody in sight. But trust me, being free ain't spotlights. No, it's long nights and it's long fights with yourself all the time to get your mind right. But if you put in the work, you can find the light, alright. I'll do anything that I feel like I wanna do. I'm living life like I got nothing left to prove. No end in sight, just always staying on the move. I'll go all night if that's just what I gotta do. Life's too short to care about what you can't afford. Memories are in what you explore, so just don't be ignored. Go ask for more, go ask for more. Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side, PCH, country limit. I don't need a guide, follow lights, take me where I wanna visit. Are you alive? Or just breathing? Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side, PCH, country limit. I don't need a guide, follow lights, take me where I wanna visit. Are you alive? Or just breathing? I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine. I strive just to say I'm alright. And for the first time in a long time, I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays. Way back a year ago. I'm not falling. I'll push all my chips and call all in. I'll bet on myself, you keep stalling. I hear destiny and it's calling. I'll keep my head up high through the downs and lows. And we're all going life, still nobody knows. But I'ma choose what's right and take what comes and goes. And ain't no one in life holding me back no more. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays. Way back a year ago. Back a year ago.
Okay, welcome to the live stream. Let me just set up recording and everything. Bear with me for 1 second, and I flip over the camera. Okay, I have moved things around in my studio, so I apologize if I look like I'm a little lost. Anyway, okay, so the topic today is recycling. And of course, I'm still lost. See what happens? Not good. There we go. Oh boy. Mouse is trapped. Okay. Mouse is not trapped anymore. All right, so welcome to the live stream. This is about recycling. We're going to be going over erasing hard drives, how to recycle your old electronics, how to recycle anything that is basically metal or electronic in itself. So like a good example, you know, everything down from computers to cell phones to copiers to anything that's basically electronic. So we're talking mostly computers, but you guys really get the point. I'm going to ask a quick question. I'm going to do a little quick poll first. And I'm going to say, did you know you were not supposed to throw away your electronics? And this is a poll for the entire live stream. So it'll show up in chat. If you guys are interested in actually answering that question, you can. And I'm going to start with the basics of what you're going to need to know about recycling. First of all, I'm going to bring the overhead on here for a sec, and we're going to take a quick look at the machine itself. There we go. So in the machine itself, most of this doesn't really contain data. The things that do contain data are really is going to be your hard drive, which is down here in the bottom corner. That's this little silver thing pointing up. That's your hard drive. In this case, this is an SSD. Or you may have a hard drive that looks like this, which is an older mechanical disk, which also is, again, another device that you would normally be recycling. Now, as anybody else has ever said in their entire life, whenever you go to recycle your equipment, you should always make sure that it has been formatted properly and that it has been erased. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you guys how to make a actual boot disk so you can boot off of it and then format hard drives pretty easily. And by formatting a hard drive, I don't mean just like erasing it. I'm talking about fully erasing it to the point that it is unrecoverable. That's the whole point of recycling your equipment, is that you don't want someone else to be able to hold that equipment and be able to get that data off of that drive. So I'm going to flip over back to our main screen, and hold on 1 second. Sorry. Let me get over there. That was the other way. Ooh, no. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to move the recycled computer out of the way for a quick second and move this out of my way so I don't look like a crazy person. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with the USB flash drive. We're going to start with the creation of that so that we can actually format and erase everything. There's a few different programs that I use that basically allow you to do a full erase of a drive. The one I prefer is Acronis. Acronis does do pretty much the entire erasing of a drive and allowing you to format that drive and get rid of it. I'm going to start with Acronis, but honestly, that's a paid program. If you are just looking to erase your entire computer really easily, you can use DBAN. DBAN is also another program. I'm going to bring up the website so you guys can see what I'm talking about. And also, all of these links will be in the description below, so you should have no problem with basically erasing anything you don't want. And you can also be able to download all of this stuff pretty much for free, except for the one from Acronis. So DBAN is free and open source, as it says right on its site. DBAN basically is a quick utility to basically, I say quick, but it's not quick. It's quick to start formatting, but it takes a very long time to format. It is one of the more secure ways to erase an entire drive. It does have DoD standards for erasing, and the free version does come with a standard wipe, which does allow you for permanent erase of an entire drive. There are more advanced features for Blanco drive erasers, what they call it. I personally have never really liked the more advanced options because there's nothing really there that I really enjoy that will make it any better for me. For the speed purposes of erasing, it's still going to take a very long time to erase a drive, no matter what drive you have. The larger the hard drive, the longer it's going to take to fully erase, because it has to erase those sectors and it has to write over those sectors. So it has to erase the entire drive, write over the drive, and then re-erase the drive again. That's kind of the overall gist of how this works. It's not basically, you're not just basically taking that information and then just, removing the pointers to the drive. You're actually fully physically erasing the drive by going to each sector and erasing it by filling it with something else, which in this case could be zeros, ones. It depends on the algorithm that you choose. But in my case, I'm going to go over the ones that are very simple. DBAN does have DoD standards that you can use, as well as Acronis has a DoD standard that you can use, which I'm going to show you after I show you guys how to create the boot disk. So to start with, you will need a flash drive. So I don't know, you guys have probably seen a flash drive before. So you plug the flash drive in, and then what you're going to do is you're going to go I'm going to use Acronis, but you could also use DBAN. If you're going to use DBANs, you would just go up here and hit download DBAN, install it, and run it off of a flash drive. Say, you want to push it to a flash drive. The process is still kind of the same for creating Acronis as well as DBAN, so that's why I'm going to say it's kind of the same. So download either DBAN or Acronis, whichever one you want. I personally like Acronis because it's just an easy way of doing it. It's very visual. It only costs like $50 or something like that to actually use it, and I prefer it, so we're going to use that. So I'm going to bring over Acronis here. Acronis, basically, you can also do the try now option if you guys want. The free one's not bad, so it works pretty good. Either if you're using Acronis or if you're using DBAN, you're also going to need Rufus, and Rufus allows you to create that disk. Again, these directions, I'm going to still put them in the description below so you have a full understanding of where everything is, plus all the websites as well, so you don't have to get too stuck on all the sites. But we will need all of these files in order to do that. Now, I already downloaded all these files just because it takes a little while to download, and I'm just doing this for speed purposes. So we're just going to grab the files off our server and put them in a folder. Let's call this Acronis. All right, so let me just quickly copy that down from our server. Should take like 1 second. I'll bring it over to the other screen in a second. I have a flash drive already plugged in. That flash drive is E. I've already created this flash drive, but I'm just going to show how to do it again, just in case. So let's go open up this page so we can see what I'm doing. All right, so I downloaded the ISO file and I downloaded the newest version of Rufus. When you open up Rufus, it's going to open up asking for administrative rights. You of course say yes, and it will show this. It's only going to come up with the drives that are flash drives. It will not come up with any other drives. That's why I like Rufus, because it will not allow you to overwrite like your main drive accidentally. So in this case, once you have Rufus open, it's as simple as taking, well, first of all, make sure you have the flash drive plugged in. So plug in your flash drive. In this case, I already have. And on the machine, you want to just take your file that you downloaded from Acronis, which is that ISO, and you're going to drag it over to Rufus. And it'll automatically populate everything you need. You just drag it over, let go, and then you hit start. It's going to give you a quick, warning about how to write. Just use the default, okay. And it'll just give you a warning that everything on that flash drive is going to be erased. So be sure that you don't have anything you need on it. Erase it. It's going to start formatting. It'll do its copying. And we'll wait for that to finish. It'll be like a second. During that time, this entire process that I'm going over, everything that I'm going over, you should realize that it's going to erase that drive. It's going to make sure that you can't recover that data. So be sure before you start any of this that your drive, you want to make sure that that's the drive you want to erase. You know, if you're erasing, if you have a machine that has multiple drives, take out the other drives that you want to keep and keep them disconnected. Only connect the drives that you want to actually erase at that time, because you don't want to accidentally have to remember which one to select and then figure out like, oh, did I select the right drive or did I select the wrong drive? You don't want to have to think about that. You would rather just format the drive that's already there. Don't having multiple drives in there unless you're going to be formatting them all. Then it's a different story. So let's close that. And once that's closed, you're now ready to boot off of that disk. Now, to get to Acronis, let me also open up a few little things. If you do decide to go the Acronis method, you can try the free trial method. What you want to do is you want to download the bootable ISO. So that's what it's called on there. I have a screenshot so you guys can see of that. I don't want to log into my account and go through all that mess. So when you go to the download page, you'll see it says like CyberProtect home installation file. That's not the one you want. You want the bootable media, and you want to hit download on that one. So just download that, and that's the ISO file. That's where I got that ISO file from. So if you're just wondering where that is. At this point, let's switch back over to the machine, which we're going to now format. So put this up here. Oh. All right, I'm going to format the SSD that's already in here, but if you were connecting a drive, you will want to do you want to connect the drive basically. If the drive's already connected, you have nothing to do here. You can just boot off the USB. But if your drive's not connected and you're formatting something like an old machine, you got to take the drive out. You could take that drive out, or you could just use the machine and boot off of it. But you would just connect it with a SATA cable, you know, a simple SATA cable here. And this SATA cable just goes down to the motherboard, which also then goes to your hard drive, which connects right here. I don't know if you can even see that. That's the little connection. And also you have the power as well. So you have SATA and then your power. So this is your data communication, and that's your SATA connection for power. That you would just connect from one of the power leads off the power supply. If you need to even do this. This probably you won't have to do because you probably have a machine that's already intact. You could just take, you know, your USB flash drive, which I left over here somewhere, or I did not. Oh, there it is. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up this machine really quickly. We're going to format this drive. So let's switch over, actually let's switch back over to me for a sec. And we're gonna move this out of the way. At this point, it really doesn't matter what it looks like, you know, to you guys. It's just a machine that you're gonna be formatting. Any device that you're gonna be formatting, make sure that you are aware that this is going to erase everything and it is unrecoverable. So there is no way to get the data back from this machine once it has gone through this process. So again, be careful. If you don't know what you're doing with this, by the way, you don't have to do this. You can bring this to any computer person. Most computer people will take it for free and erase it. We do that for all of our customers. We pick them up when we are on location. And when we are on location, we'll pick up anything that's recyclable, all electronics, including computers, phones, tablets, whatever it is, and we will erase them before they are put into recycle. So let's power this on. Let me plug in the drive, and let's go over to that screen. There we go. Oh, turn me on. There we go. All right, power that on. Now this system is really, really old, and it is actually a recycling system. Ooh. So let me just get into the BIOS really quick. What you want to do is, what I'm doing right now is just tapping delete, but it's whatever key that you have on your main screen to get into your BIOS. And you want to boot to, the flash drive. So we're gonna look for, oh, you know, I'm in a really bad spot there. I'll put myself down there. There we go. All right. Where are the boot options? They're different in every BIOS, so you may have to just look around a little bit. Oh, it's under BIOS features. That makes a lot of sense. All right, so what you can do here is you just basically select this and you would select the drive that you want to boot off of. And in this case, I want to boot off my Samsung flash drive, so I'm going to save that. And I'm going to turn off all the other ones so I don't end up booting off something I don't want to actually boot off of. You may also want to make sure, again, you only have one drive connected that you want to format, and that's the one that you actually want to erase. Again, if you have multiple drives, like a D drive that has all your data on it, disconnect that drive before you start, or take that drive out, the one that you want to format, and put it into another machine that doesn't have another drive. There's another option. But, you know, just keep it simple, because once you go into Acronis, it's going to be a little harder to determine which drive is which. So that's why I recommend you disconnect the ones that you want to keep, just so you don't have any problem with erasing something that's, you know, that could be useful for you. Once you boot, it's going to give you a little, hey, we're going to boot. So I'm going to just go boot to Acronis, the first one. I'm just pushing number 1, which is Cyber Protect Home. It's just going to load its little kernel. It's going to do its thing. This is a Linux kind of based program, so it may take a few seconds to come up. Once it does, you want to go to Tools and Utilities, and then you want to scroll a little bit. It says right here, Acronis Drive Cleanser, and that's going to erase any hard disk that you've selected in the system. So what you're going to do is you're going to select that. It's still going to reconfirm which one you want to erase. In this case, it's actually picking up my flash drive as well as it's picking up the main drive. The flash drive is obviously smaller, so that's disk 2, but disk 1 is the one I want to erase. So I'm going to select disk 1, which is by selecting here. It's going to mark all of the partitions. So it's marking every partition to erase every partition and letting you know that that entire drive is being erased. I recommend that you select the whole thing unless you want to just erase one partition. But if you want to erase one partition, you're probably better off doing that in Windows. Don't do that here. So hit next. Now it's going to give you a few options. This little drop down will give you a few options. The standard option is US Standard DoD, which is the Department of Defense standard that allows you to erase the entire drive. That's more than good enough for recycling. It's still going to take a very long time to format and erase. I'm going to start it right now just to show you guys what it's going to look like, but eventually it will erase everything that's on the drive, write to the drive, and erase the drive, write to the drive, erase the drive. It's going to be doing it a bunch of times. If you're really interested in actually every standard, you can go through every standard. I recommend just the U.S. Department of Defense one. That's perfectly fine for erasing. And it is, you know, a standard, like there is a standard written, and that's what it's actually using. It's using that algorithm to erase your drive. So as it does specify, it does say specifies a triple pass overwrite algorithm in the DoD 5220.22-M specification. Again, you can look it up online if you're really curious about how many times it erases and what it's actually doing to the drive. You can go through that. Personally speaking, I think that's a little bit much, unless you're going to sit there and write an algorithm to do that, which you know, if you're going to do that, awesome, but who has the time? So hit next, and then when you're ready, it's going to just give you a warning saying, hey, we're going to erase this thing with total of 4 passes. It's going to use the standard wiping mechanism, etc. And you have to check this box off, says wipe the selected partitions irreversibly, and that will mean that you are not going to be able to take this and actually get any data off of it when you're done. So once you hit proceed, it will start wiping, and you can just sit back and relax while this wipes. Now, even with an SSD, I don't think this is going to be all that fast, because I'm using a SATA SSD. It's a little older because that's what's being recycled, but it should take a long time to erase. The progress bars on Acronis are okay, but they're not great. I'm going to be honest, it's going to come up with an estimation of, look, it says 49 minutes, 59 minutes, it's all over the place. It's going to take a little while to erase. It should take, if you have I think this is a 500 gigabyte drive, so it's like about a 500 gigabyte drive, you're talking probably about an hour, maybe an hour and a half to erase the entire thing. That's, again, it depends on the speed of your system, depends on the speed of the drive. If you're talking about a mechanical drive like this is going to take a lot longer to format. Plus, this one's also a 1 terabyte, which is double the amount of space, so it's still going to take double the amount of time. We're going to let this go for a few seconds. I'm going to move it over a little bit so I can actually see the remaining other screens, because I moved things and not in the best position. So let me move this over. Talking about other topics here, let me go back to program here. Sorry guys, I am moved everything and it is pretty bad. There we go. So as that's formatting, I just want to talk about Rufus and everything else for Acronis. You guys, it's pretty easy. You just drag it onto there. But again, if you're not feeling comfortable with this is not something you have to do. This is something that your tech person should be able to handle. Anybody that you're bringing to for recycling should handle this before you bring it to an actual physical recycler. Any IT person should definitely know how to do this. This is not something very difficult. And it doesn't cost much to even have this on there. Acronis is like, again, $50 for just the base version, or you can even use the free version. I think the free version actually allows you to format drives, so it should be okay. Again, you could also use dban. Dban is also open source. Dban's fine too. I just don't like dban because it takes, it doesn't have a mouse. So dban also is very dangerous on the aspect of it has auto boot and nuke, I think. I think it boots and nukes. Yep. Unless they changed it. Yeah, I've had that happen before where somebody actually accidentally made a USB flash drive. We put it into a machine and then not realizing it was dban on there, and it just erased the drive because it just starts right up and it goes right into finding the drives and erasing whatever's on there. I don't recommend that method. Again, just be careful with what you have there for dban. But moving forward, yeah, erasing the drive is going to take a while, so you just sit back, relax, wait for it to fully finish. And then when it's done, then you can take it down to recycling at that point. Again, if you're one of our customers, we pick up all of your recycling and we do this for you. So this is not something you have to sit there and do. We would just hook up your machine, we would format it, and then we would just take it down for recycling after that point. We usually don't take apart the machines anymore. We used to take apart some of the parts and components, but there's no need to, because at this point there is no difference in the recycling aspect. They actually handle everything about disassembling it. We have a really good recycler for that. So when we go to bring it down there, they actually disassemble all the other rest of the components. But more importantly, we get rid of the data because we are responsible for that data while it's still in our possession. We also do erase other things. There are other devices that you may want to erase over time. Those devices are something like a printer. Some printers have hard drives in them, like a good example, copiers. Mostly big, large copiers have hard drives in them. We will disassemble that and take the actual drive out of that, and that doesn't require much. Usually it's just like a panel or something that comes off and the drive comes out. Usually it's a regular spinning rust drive, or it could be an SSD. In either case, we just take that out, hook it up to another computer and erase it, and then take the drive for recycling after that point. Now, there are some other crazy things that people do for recycling, like drilling holes in these. After you erase this with a DoD wipe, you really don't need to drill a hole in this. I mean, unless you just want to become destructive, you're welcome to do it. Just be careful. I mean, this is not going to be easy to drill a hole through. It is metal, and there are magnets in here for spinning rust. Now, for an SSD, it's a little easier because an SSD is mostly plastic and chips. You could take a regular screw, regular electric screwdriver or electric screw gun and just drill a hole right through it if you really feel the need. Personally speaking, erase it. Just use software and erase it. It's just easier. No one's getting that data back after it's going through that wipe. That wipe is now still at 55 minutes, which I don't think is going to be anytime soon that it's going to finish. But moving on, for recycling also, there are other things that may be recycled, phones and other items like that. Phones, Android or iOS, whichever one it is. I would erase everything before you obviously hand your phone in if you're going to trade up. If you're not going to trade up and you're just going to, maybe switch to a different operating system or a different phone, your carrier will probably take it back for you. If not, we also still take phones. What we do for erasing the phone is a little different. We do a destructive erase, which is not the same as like just rebooting your phone and hitting, erase on it. The one that you do for just erasing your phone is probably fine enough, but if you're really paranoid like some people are, you may want to up it a little bit. And there are some erasing abilities to be able to take that chip and erase it. There's software that you can load, just again the same thing like how Acronis is on the desktop. There are versions on mobile. You could download that and run that program and erase your entire drive. Well, I say drive, but phone device. Do you need to go to that extent for your phone? It depends what you're storing on your phone. If you're storing something that's very sensitive on your phone, then yes, you really should go to that level and you should erase it properly. Again, if you don't feel comfortable and you don't want to know, if you don't want to, you don't want to make a mistake and saying to yourself, oh, I'm not going to be able to erase it correctly or whatever, that's when you bring it to someone like us where we erase it for you, and then we'll make sure we also recycle it for you. So it actually goes from us to being erased to being recycled. If your employer requires that you get a slip of paper stating the model serial number has been erased, we can also provide that for you. Most employers don't need it, but some employers, if it's like an employee phone, sometimes they require to know that serial number has been erased. And we'll provide proof, When we go to hook it up, we will take a photo of the actual screen, or some programs have an output. Acronis actually has an output that you can output to say this drive has been erased, and it'll mark the serial number and everything with it. D-Band has it as well, but you have to buy the professional edition for that one to work. But yeah, after you've erased everything, that's when you bring it to recycling. When we bring it to recycling, we have a location here that's pretty good about it. They take everything, including monitors, laptops, desktops, everything. So, but after you've erased it, it really doesn't matter. Yes, somebody said that's much easier just to bring it. Yeah, it is easier to bring it to somebody. If you know somebody, that's the best way. We don't really take shipments for recycled equipment. We only do it from our customers for pickup. If you are having a hard time finding somebody, please put a comment down below. Do not throw the equipment out. There are little icons on here. Let me bring this back over. 2, 1. So if you look here, there is an icon right there that says do not throw out. This means do not throw in the garbage. This has to be recycled. You should not throw this in the garbage. This will not break down. This entire drive will not break down in your dump. Now, some recycling and garbage people will take the metal out. So this might be picked up in their metal catcher, and it might not be. It's not a risk worth taking. You're already going to have to throw it out anyway. You're better off just bringing it to a recycler at that point. have it professionally erased, have it professionally just recycled if you really don't, if you don't want to handle it. But don't put it in the garbage, because this ends up in a landfill and it will never decompose. This will take forever. This will be around for generations before it actually even starts to decompose. So it needs to be taken apart. It needs to be recycled properly. You don't want to contribute to the problem of just throwing this in the garbage and then finding out later that it's sitting on top of a garbage heap somewhere, and it's just going to be buried and it's never going to actually decompose ever. So I would recommend recycle it properly. It shouldn't, by the way, it shouldn't cost you anything to recycle this. So if someone's charging you to recycle this, find a different person, because this doesn't cost anything. This shouldn't, even erasing the data, we don't charge anybody for erasing the data. We don't care what's on there. We'll just send it for recycling. We'll put it through erase and we will ditch it. So honestly, this shouldn't cost you anything. This shouldn't cost anything to say, oh, I got to take this. They're like, oh, we got to, Best Buy is a good example. I think Best Buy a while ago, not now, but when they were taking back electronics, they were charging people to recycle stuff. Or they would give you like $10 towards a gift certificate or something, but you'd have to pay the $10. So that doesn't make any sense. You don't need to do that. They should take this for free. So if you can't find an IT person to take it, or if you already erased the drive and you just need to bring it to recycling, you should be able to do it through your town. Your town might be able to provide it. In New York, I believe, I'm just guessing off the top of my head, but the last time I checked, the town hall should take it. One of your towns should take it. So with no problem. Call around. It takes 5 minutes to call around if you can't find one. Again, if you can't find one, send a comment. Please write a comment and say, Brian, I can't find, I can't find my current recycler. It's online. More than likely, I should be able to find it within a few minutes online and be able to say, okay, you got to take this and bring it down there. Again, we don't take shipments for recycling. I think that's kind of weird, because if it's not our customer, it's a little odd to take it. We will take, if you're a customer of ours and you're an employee of a customer, we will still take the information at that point. We'll take the device at that time and erase it for you and all that stuff. But we have pickup days, and we let the employees know about the pickup days before we arrive, so that they could take their equipment, bring it to the office, and we can erase it. We could take it and erase it from there. This is still erasing. Yeah, look, we're talking, this is going to take a while. So if you don't want to do all this, you don't have to sit here and do that. We would do that for you, or one of your IT people will do that for you. You don't have to do all this. But I like to show everybody that it is possible, and I want to definitely let everybody know, do not throw these out. You will be doing a disservice to you and future generations, because this will ruin things, and it will not be a very pretty situation. So I recommend that you definitely, recycle and do it the right way. This does take a long time. Again, same thing with phones, any electronic device. Anything that has this symbol on it, you really, the garbage symbol, you really can't. When you have this garbage symbol on there, that means with a little X through it, that means you cannot throw that out. There's a lot of things that are like this. Now, this is not just, computers. We're talking cell phones. We're talking even headphones have that symbol on it, which means that you really should not be throwing out the headphones. That should be going to, metal recycling. By the way, you could go to metal recycling. It doesn't have to go to electronic recycling. You could take this to any metal recycler and they'll also accept it. And again, they shouldn't be charging you for any of this stuff. This is just something that your town should be handling or something like that. Now, if your town doesn't have it in their taxes or something and they're not putting it that way, depending upon where you are, then they may end up charging you to take it. It depends on the situation. But again, check with your local area. Probably somebody will take it for nothing. So, but don't throw it in the garbage, and don't be feared about this. You know what I mean? Like, if they say they're going to charge you for it, take it back. And then, find somebody else to recycle it or whatever. But don't fear like going up to a place and being like, oh, they may not take it, they may take it. It takes 5 seconds to find out. One phone call, not a big deal. I'm using the wrong mouse. There we go. Printers, yeah, printers, scanners, faxes, and big, large Xerox printers and stuff like that. And I say Xerox just because it's a name, but any brand, you know, Toshiba, whatever it is. Any of those large, you know, format printers and stuff like that. Those are the printers that you got to be a little bit careful about. When you go to recycle those, you got to make sure, especially if you're in medical or anything that has like sensitive information that you've been scanning. Especially anything that has a scanner attached. Usually it actually has a hard drive attached as well, and it may save the last, you know, 400 or 500 scans or faxes or something like that directly onto a drive like this or onto an SSD. And in either case, you want to make sure to take that drive out and erase it, even if you can't get to the programming and erase it. That way, you're better off taking it physically out. The drives are the same as any drive that you would put in your PC. So it really doesn't matter. And you really shouldn't be waving around drives. I already know this is an erasable drive. I'm not worried. We already erased it. But you really shouldn't do that either. You know what I mean? But that's a whole other story. It's going to garbage anyway. So, yeah. If you have printers or anything like that, make sure you do that as well. I know a few customers of ours that actually got rid of the printer, didn't realize there was still data on there. Luckily, we grabbed it in time. But it does happen, so be sure to erase that before you return it or get rid of it. Also, not just to say that D-band's the only option either. The manufacturer of the drive, like this is a Western Digital. Western Digital has its own tools, and you can actually load those tools on Windows and erase from Windows as well. But the only problem is you can't erase from Windows if you're on Windows. That's the problem. So you have to load a boot disk and be able to boot off of that and then be able to erase the drive. But, you know, Western Digital, Crucial, Samsung, they all have tools and utilities to erase their own drives. You can do that as well. They also have testing utilities too, if you're interested in that. You can test to make sure your drive is working up to performance. There's also a way to erase drives within Windows. You can do that really quickly. That's not a full format erase, but it's enough to take the partition off the drive really quickly. Let's see, I think we can show that. Yeah, camera 3. Okay. So, this is in my way. All right, we'll move this out. Okay. So basically, you can erase from the command prompt. Yeah, it's over there. All right. You can erase from the command prompt. Also, I don't know if we can zoom in on this. Let me get this bigger. Property. Oh, command prompts are horrible. The size of text. Large font. Let me bring this up to like 36. There we go. You can actually read the darn thing. Okay, so if you want to erase a drive, you can also erase a drive from the command prompt. By doing this, this is also very dangerous, so you need to know what you're doing here. So following the commands are not just following the commands. You should understand the commands before you do this. So before you do this, you should actually understand where the drive is, which drive you want to erase, and because it's irreversible and it's also very quick. Now the problem with this method is that it is a fast method, but it doesn't actually fully erase the drive. It just takes the pointers that are pointing on the drive to that data and just cuts them in half. So in other words, it cuts them off and says, remove all these pointers, create a new partition, and reassess to a new partition. The data still exists there. So this isn't a full erase. This is if you're gonna like reuse the drive somewhere else. If you want to take that drive and move it into, let's say, you're going to load an operating system onto it. This is one of those times where you can use this, where it's a little faster because you don't have to erase the drive. Because you're going to be overwriting anyway. You're going to be installing something over the top of what's already there. So to do that, we have to use what they call diskpart. Diskpart, by running it, you just run diskpart. It's actually one word. Hit enter. It's going to show your computer name, which I don't know what I should rename that. But anyway, diskpart comes up with your commands. You can now hit list disk, and it's going to show you all of the disks that are currently in the computer. My main drive is a 500 gigabyte drive, so that obviously I don't want to erase. Disk 1 is a flash drive, which I just made something on there, so I'm going to erase that one just as an example. So I'm going to say select disk 1. This is very much like the old days where DOS and stuff was around, you know. So select disk 1. It's going to say it's been selected. Okay, it's a little off the screen. Sorry, guys. So it says disk 1 is now selected. At this point, you are now editing that disk. So at this point, you want to be very careful. The command that you want to run is clean. Okay, clean, C-L-E-A-N. When you run this command, I'm not going to hit enter yet, but when you run this command, it's going to actually erase the drive without any prompt. So in other words, please be sure that you know that you're on the correct disk. This is the last chance before it erases. So we hit clean, and I'm just going to make sure I'm on disk 1, which I am, clean. You see how fast that was? That erased a whole 60 gigabytes really quickly. That didn't actually erase it, it just basically removed the pointers. So now Windows doesn't see that drive at all. So now if I go to my computer, where are you? Oh, wrong mouse. It fully erased that drive. Let me open up Disk Manager actually so you can see, because it's not on there at all. You're just going to be looking at nothing. So let me quit this also. By the way, to exit this, just type exit. And then exit again. And I am just going to move my mouse here. Disk Management. So when I open up Disk Management, whoop, I don't know if you got it. This is a little small. I apologize, guys. The amount of sizing on this, I can't really resize this one. So here's my primary disk. Obviously, that's fine. My secondary disk now says unallocated because it has been totally gone. It is removed. There is nothing there at this point. Now, you need to create a partition. If you want to reuse this drive, you just right-click that. By the way, I went into Disk Management. If you just type, by the way, if you hit Start and just type Disk Management, you'll find it. Or you can right-click the Start button and then click Disk Management. Whichever way will bring you to the same thing. At this point, you'll see that it's a black, a black bar. That means it's unallocated. So we're going to create a simple volume. I right-click here. I choose New Simple Volume. Hit Next. I'm doing the full size of the drive, so I'm just going to hit Next. It's going to assign a drive letter. Next. It's really this easy. And then basically you give it a volume label. In this case, I'm going to just call it B1 for us. Perform a quick format. Sure, that's fine because you're putting data again onto it. It's fine. If you are testing the drive, if you want to make sure that that drive is good, do not do a quick format. You want to uncheck that and then hit next because then it's going to do a full format. I don't have the patience for this right now, so we're not going to do that because it's going to literally take like 45 minutes and we all don't want to watch progress bar for 45 minutes. So, and I know the drive is fine, so we're just going to hit next. It's going to recap with you what it's going to do. You just hit finish. You wait a few seconds. Wait, I should have turned the music back on. All right, there it goes. And it shows up as D drive, and it says disk 1, and it's ready to go. It says healthy partition. So now, if you go over to File Explorer, which I'm going to drag over here just to show you guys, there is a new D drive, and it's available, and you can start writing to it. You can put stuff in here, whatever you want. Some junk. All right, so at that point, it's ready to write and read to. Now, of course, this didn't do a test of the drive, so your drive could still be having problems or something like that, so you may want to run the disk utility to check that, or when you format, you can choose not quick format, and it'll actually erase the drive, put a new partition on, and it'll also write to every sector of the drive. If it does fail, then you know that the drive is no good, and you should probably take it out and replace it. Someone said, be careful. Yeah, that command is a little bit tricky. I would not do that unless you know what you're doing, or you want to just, but this is the fastest way to erase like a drive or even an external drive. By the way, that same command will work on an external drive, flash drive, internal drive, whatever it is. It'll also work on the C drive too, so be very careful. You could erase your C drive, which is your main operating system too, so that would be really bad. You won't be able to boot after that. It will probably destroy it. Now, that is still recoverable, that method. So technically speaking, you could send it out to a hard drive recovery specialist, and they can actually recover that data for you. We don't do hard drive recovery. We used to a long time ago, but the drives have gotten a lot more complex, and the process is very, very dangerous. Plus, you need like a clean box or a clean room to do it, and we don't have that type of facility. So the best way to do all that stuff is send it out to a hard drive recovery person if you need to recover that data. But again, if you're using something like DBAN or Acronis to erase the drive, they won't be able to recover it anyway, because that's a full wipe. So that's why I always say be very careful what you're erasing, because in this case you could erase something that you may need. And if you don't know and you're unsure, just don't do it. Just bring it to somebody that can do it for you then. Because you don't want to make that mistake of erasing something that you, again, might need. Diskpart, so yeah, that's pretty much all you really need to know about Diskpart. Diskpart has a whole bunch of other utilities, especially if you're doing some sort of data recovery. Diskpart will allow you to take a partition, remove it, and then re-add it back on. Sometimes you could re-add it, and it might bring back data if you know what you're doing to get that to come back. Again, send it to a specialist. If you're actually interested in that, you may want to contact. We have some contacts for data recovery. If you're actually interested in like looking for a job for that or something like that, they have a lot of people are always in. They're always in looking for people for that. So I will post a bunch of links also with a bunch of different companies that do data recovery. I don't want to bring that up right now because I don't know what's on their site and stuff, and I don't want to mislead anybody to the wrong thing. So. But yeah, the data recovery specialists are always looking for more people, so that is a definite positive if you are into that field. It is a very interesting field. It is very tedious. You're working on very small, you're working on small screws, small product, very small to be able to edit that stuff and grab that info back. But yeah, we don't handle it specifically because it's a whole nother field specifically. We just know enough to be dangerous, and that's it. I'm kidding. We just know enough to basically give people the right information to go to the right area. Yeah, so we're still formatting. This is still going. Yeah, I think this timer is broken. I've never seen it actually work. Like, it still says 42 minutes left. That was, 15, 20 minutes ago from 55, you know what I mean? Like, maybe it is correct, I don't know, but now it says 36, I don't know. It's all over the place. I don't even go by that. I just wait till it's fully done. By the way, you could also check off the option, like, if you're running this, sorry, wrong mouse. If you're running this, for a while and you just don't care for what the, completion and status says, you can always hit down, shut down the computer when the operation is completed. If there's an error, it won't shut down. It'll stay where it is and display that error. So if you're just doing these and erasing them maybe in bulk or something, you could check that option off and have the machine fully powered down and erase, turn off whenever all the drives are erased. You could also bulk erase. I usually do that when we have our customers, when we have like, if nobody really cares for the serial number match and stuff like that, we will just take a whole bunch of them, slide them onto one computer, run it, and let it run all night until it formats, erases everything, and then shuts down by itself. It does give out a still report at the end, and it also writes a log to the flash drive of the drive that you're booting off of. So it allows you to go back to you can check that flash drive just to see if everything's been erased fully, and then you could take all those drives off, mark them for erase, and move them into the right spot. Okay, that's not much else to talk about with formatting. I don't know if you guys have questions, because this is probably a little bit over the head for a lot of people. I'm not gonna, and don't think that that's like an insult or something. That's not. It's just the fact that this is not something that's very easy to do, but it's also not something so hard that you can't do it yourself. But if you're really, really concerned about the data, bring it to a professional. They can erase it for you. Someone that you trust, obviously. I'll bring it to an IT person that you trust. Again, if you need recommendations, put a comment down below. I do read the comments, and at worst I get back to you within about a day or so and let you know that, hey, this is so and so in that area that will do the format for you. We don't accept shipping of recycling. So any other questions for you guys? Oh, we have the poll. I always have the poll. I always forget about the poll. Why do I always forget about the poll? Let's go back. The poll. My mouse. I gotta move this stuff around. I feel like this is not working well. All right, end poll. Let's see what we got. Did you know that you were not supposed to throw away your electronics? 50% of people said yes, and 50% of people said I don't throw away anything. Well, let me tell you, to the people that are the pack rats here, don't do that. It's just gonna sit around on your table. Why waste that space? Format it, erase it, throw it out, if it's old, and I say by throw it out, I mean by recycling it if it's possible. If it's not, again, then it's a different story. But yeah, if you are taking anything that's electronic, just bring it down for recycling, do the right thing, get rid of it. Unless you like just collecting dust all over the place, then you're welcome to do that. Some people actually do collect a lot of that stuff too. I know a lot of people that have really old electronics that they just donate to museums too. Probably not most of these days anymore. They'll probably just tell you to take it and recycle it because it's not that interesting for other people that really want to go through. Unless it's really, really old, like you're talking something like punch cards, you know what I mean? Like for like computers and stuff, that old. But then you would have rooms full of it. Yeah, so basically that's it, guys. I'm gonna close out the stream, but every week we are going to still have a stream on Saturday at 3:30. We will have videos soon, I promise. Videos will be going up in the next few weeks. I'm still working with figuring out how to use the editor 100%, and we're using Blackmagic, not Blackmagic, I'm sorry, DaVinci Resolve, which is basically, Blackmagic's the main company that makes it. So we're going to be using that. I just got to figure out how to edit video a little bit better. I'm not a really good video editor. I'm obviously more of a computer person than a video editor. So I'm going to figure that out. And once I figure all that out, you guys will see videos coming up on the channel. Those videos will be probably short. I'm not going to stick to anything probably over like 20 minutes long. I found that seems to be good enough for most tech stuff. I'm going to try to keep it a little bit shorter, and it's not going to be builds and stuff like that. We're not doing builds on video. We're only doing the builds on the live, live aspects. We're going to do a live builds only. We're not going to do video live builds unless we do something custom, and I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So, plus I think it's a waste. I don't like the whole custom computer building aspect. I think it's a little weird. I think it's a little weird, a little over the top, and it might be a little waste of money. Unless a customer wants something custom, then we'll do it, but I don't want to just do something for the hell of doing anything. That not just for a video. That's a little odd. I also think it's a little wasteful. So join us again on Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the next topic. If you want to check out the videos, we have some old videos that are already up there. All of the live streams are still on YouTube, so you're welcome to go back and watch those. So like, subscribe, do all the wonderful YouTube things you guys do. If you do dislike, be sure to hit it twice because you're special. And we will see you at the next live stream. Have a good one.